I think, the problem with the spirituality is that they focus on the journey, they make it seem like the journey is what is important, the longer it takes, the more, chance you have to get somewhere, But
Yes.
the problem is not with the journey, it's the answers.
Yeah.
No matter how long the journey is, if the answer is not satisfactory, you will not reach anywhere. And this is what has been going on, with all respect to all those people who talked about the enlightenment or, different spiritual experiences and so on. The answers were not, satisfactory. That's why people keep searching, going from here to there, not knowing, because they are not satisfied with what they hear. And why? Because the so-called teachers themselves didn't know the answer. You see, being in that state is not enough to understand what's going on. You can describe the state, but you cannot, explain why. Okay, why it happens. Especially, this so-called feeling I am. This created all the problems because philosophers tried to work on it, psychologists, spiritual teachers, and so on, explaining, what it is. Those who don't know say, we don't know, it's a mystery. Those who claim we know what it is pure consciousness, it's beyond anything you can imagine. But like I said, actually, what you call the feeling I am is a physical process in the brain, coming from the processing of your voice and face identities. So that's why you feel that you exist and the feeling I am, But when you tell people that it's a spiritual feeling, something beyond, something you cannot comprehend, then you created this mystery. And, for thousands of years, people have been believing this and going, in circles that, trying to get this state where they achieve self-realization or state of pure consciousness. So getting them out of one illusion, which is the ego, to put them in another illusion, which what they call, the witness or the feeling I am or the observer. It's another illusion.
I also think thoughts never capture the living moments of life. That was the only truth, because the human mind most of the time cannot distinguish between knowing the truth and knowing our conceptions of the truth. So when you hear someone say something and you think about it, it doesn't really seem to capture the essence of what they're saying. And I think that is what keeps people unsatisfied and continuing the search. They're looking for that feeling with their thoughts that they get, that they've gotten it, but thoughts will never capture that. I think that's part of the problem.
Yeah, you cannot use memory and what you have learned to know anything about life, about living things. That's a problem. That's the difficulty. Even in the natural state, you don't realize the truth. You just get rid of this veil, this dominance of memory. You see, but you don't know what you are looking at or hearing or tasting or smelling. So there is no knowing of another kind of reality or another kind of truth or something, that is hidden there. No, you just get rid of that, and there is nothing in its place. You don't know, Before you say, I know what the truth is, But after that, you cannot say I know what the truth is. There is no truth anymore. Because truth is related to what we have learned, through the knowledge that we have acquired. But when this knowledge, which is memory, is not there, you don't ask, anything about reality, because anything you ask, the answer will come from memory, which is you go back to the same point, which is useless. So like I said in the book, I stopped asking not because I have found the answer, but because the questions are gone. I don't the questions because there is no memories, that require me to ask.
Yes, I was thinking while you were talking that your explanations, or they are now possible because of the neuroscience evolution. So the people before, they didn't have this possibility to explain it this way, isn't it?
Yeah, this is one part, but I also, discovered how it functions before reading neuroscience.
Okay.
Not about the neurochemicals, the role in the brain, but I discovered, that the feeling I am, especially that, because like I described in the book, when the thinking stops, I started seeing an image of my face. It was simulating my facial gestures as if I'm looking in a mirror. And I could recognize this face as my own face. So I said, could it be that when the inner self-talk stopped, it has also an identity, that's what makes us feel, that there is an I, a thinker. And then after, so I related the two, that there is something significant about the voice and the face. The voice, because when it's gone, and it's my voice, not any other person's voice, self-consciousness was gone. And about the face, that it's related also to my face. I can see my face. And it's like, it gives the impression of being a watcher or an observer, because I can see the image, of my face, and it's moving with the eyes. So it gives the impression that I'm looking, So that's why I connected the dots, what they were talking about in spirituality before even reading in neuroscience. So, but I needed neuroscience, it became like by chance, I was looking for some support for what I have found, is there some physical basis for it? For example, especially the facial mirror, because when I first saw the face, I said, maybe this is a visual illusion, I'm having some, hallucination, visual hallucination. I have to be sure, is there, so the first question I looked in the internet, is there something as a biological mirror? That was my question, searching biological mirror. And then I found about the mirror neuron system. And then I found that, yes, there is a facial mirror system. And this is, but it's not clear what it does. They have not reached that, explanation yet, exactly how it functions. But they know it's related to imitation, especially to facial gestures and eye gaze. But how it functions, you need to see it from the inside. As a neuroscientist, you cannot look at the brain and understand how a facial mirror functions. That it has to do with facial gestures, because when it's not functioning, for example, you cannot understand facial gestures. Okay, so they know, they call it correlation. They found the correlations, but exactly how, you have to have it from a subjective point of view, seeing it from the inside. So I feel maybe that's what importance of what I have found is that to relate the subjective to the objective in the sense of, neuroscience research. You cannot research consciousness just objectively. You have to relate what you are, studying to subjective experiences and relate the two, understanding why. So it helped for me, to clarify more, scientifically what it is that happened. But the basic was already there, I have found it just by observing myself.
So would you say that because the people before were into spiritual search, this spiritual search had so much impact or so much power that they couldn't see anything else, or they couldn't look at it the way you did?
I think they did what I did also at the beginning. When you go through something like this, the first thing you do is try to read about it, to find some, understand what happened to you. So you try to search, for the kind of phenomena, the kind of things that you were going through, and see if anybody else has talked about it. Okay. So what you will meet, like happened with me, the first thing I met was spiritual books, and on the internet, YouTube's about spirituality. This is where you find descriptions similar to what you have gone through, silent mind, cessation of thought, dissolution of the body, going beyond so you find, okay, they are describing what I'm going through, so it must be true, so you take it all as a package. Okay, you don't say, okay, that part is good, but this I don't agree with, so you go into this and you take it as a whole, because if it's true about this and that, then it must be true about everything. So at the beginning, even this feeling of I am, also I took it for granted, that there must be, this is because when self-consciousness was gone and I lost my sense of the body and there were no thoughts and feelings, I was still self-aware. But as a bodiless, thoughtless thing, not even a body or a human being, because there are no memories, I don't know, there is nothing there, but there is still self-awareness, And when they describe it as the feeling I am, it's pure consciousness, it's beyond, I really believed it, it makes sense, you see, so you easily get into that. The only thing that happened is that this facial mirror, make me try to understand what it is, and then I connected, so they always describe it in visual terms, observer, witness, watcher, seer, all are visual terms of somebody looking, somebody seeing, and it's a self-awareness, okay? Not only just a watcher who's aware of itself, So how you are aware? By seeing yourself, literally, you see your face.